Small island developing states are on the front line of climate change. With limited resources and economies highly dependent on tourism, agriculture, and fishing, industries that are highly vulnerable to climate impacts. To cope with it, they have to design national action plans and be very realistic, because finding money to implement those plans is a big problem.
One of the things that we realized at the end of the process is that countries are identifying a huge lack of resources in terms of public investment, in terms of fiscal space. So countries are dealing with the impacts of climate change. Countries need to move forward with social programs. Countries need to go for the implementation to adapt on climate change. But there is not enough money to do that. We cannot have plans when you, at the end of the plan, you realize that you don't have the money. You realize that you don't have the capacity. That it looks very good on the paper, but it's not realistic because your government is not in a position to go for those investments.
So yes, this is the same story you keep hearing from small island developing states. The problem is getting the money to both design and implement national climate plans.
We have organizations, our partners that are fully in support to make this happen. So I am glad to be part of that. I am glad my country is getting the capacity and also the financial support that we need and technical guidance to make it be not just a perfect document, but also in assistance for our implementation phase that is more needed than to have a detailed down document, but we can implement it.
Let's turn now to Guyana. When it developed its first national climate plan some 10 years ago, it was among the poorest nations in Latin America and the Caribbean. Now, as a petroleum development state, it is in a better position and wants to play a meaningful role in the climate fight. And it's doing so through the low carbon development strategy.
Over the last 3 years or so, our GDP has grown by over 40% because we're now a new entrant into the oil and gas producing countries. And so that profile has changed, but notwithstanding that, the maintenance of our forests, the conservation of our natural resources, and the sustainable use of those resources continues to be primary in all our national policies, to the extent that we have a national policy called the Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030, which was promulgated in 2009, but updated just about 2 or 3 years ago. So while we take a look at Guyana over these years, and the question speaks to additional challenges, we do not see them perhaps as challenges, but as opportunity. Because given the picture I just shared with you, it means that still, it's not with regard to additional, but it means that there is need for even continual upgrade of our technical capacity to be able to do the reporting, to ensure that across the various sectors, we're able to quantify the greenhouse gas emissions, we're able to implement those targets that we've set in our NDC, and ensure that with regard to this implementation across all sectors, energy, transportation, agriculture, forestry, and so on, that they are being implemented in accordance not only with our national policies, but with regard to the UNFCCC requirements. At the same time, we need to improve our management of data, sharing of data, greater integration of the private sector and civil society as we ensure that the various aspects of our NDC and the revision that we're currently going through will enable our country to meet those targets that we've set and to honor the commitments we have made.
So yes, for small island developing states, global support could mean the difference between resilience and disaster. The world will be watching as these nations continue to push for the resources and partnerships they need to safeguard their future. This is Danielle Swain reporting for the newsroom from Baku.